Hey Jack, I'm back, and with me, another speed art. This one is of Grand Moff Tarkin from the original Star Wars movie, and I guess also Rogue One. Now, this time I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favorite Star Wars villains, and this is mostly going to be based on the films. I haven't really read the comics, and I haven't really quite finished the Clone Wars or the Rebels show, but maybe when I do, I'll have to update this list. Star Wars has had many villains throughout its 43-year history, so let's go through my top 10. This is my top 10, just my opinion, from worst to first to see where they land. And coming in at 10th place is Episode 3's General Grievous. Now, back in the day, I watched the original 2D Clone Wars show, and Grievous appears in the last episode like a total bamf. So I was pumped to see him in Episode 3. Unfortunately, he didn't quite live up to that potential, but his fight with Obi-Wan and the way he was portrayed were fun to watch on screen, plus all the memes of him stealing lightsabers now are a classic, so that earns him the 10th spot on this list. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Orson Krennic, the main villain from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This is mostly due to Ben Mendelsohn's performance as the character. He plays him as a power-hungry rat with a dark, twisted side. What we see of him is pretty interesting, although his scene with Vader really makes him look like a bit of a chump. Although it doesn't really take away anything from the performance, because it's still great and a pleasure to watch. And number 8 is going to actually be a twofer. That's right, I'm going to lump together Boba Fett and Jango Fett. So I'm going to put them together mostly because they're technically clones, and also because they're kind of a father-son pair in Attack of the Clones. Now, unfortunately, both of them are taken out really quite easily, especially Boba. He's kind of taken out in like a Three Stooges sort of sight gag. But their armor and their presence permeates each scene they're in prior to their lackluster demises, although it looks like Boba may actually not fully be gone if the rumors and the casting for oh my god, I was gonna call it the Mandarin. I just watched Iron Man 3. The Mandalorian are true. And speaking of the Mandalorian, probably the only actual Star Wars shows that I've actually watched in full, unless you count those droids shows from back in like the early 90s. I think there was an Ewok show too. I might watch the whole thing for that. But I was a kid then, I don't remember it. So, the only show that I've fully watched of Star Wars in entirety is The Mandalorian. And I'm gonna put Moff Gideon at number 7 here. So, not much is known of him at this time, but based on the way he's presented and how he acts, largely thanks to Giancarlo Esposito's, I think I'm saying that completely wrong, performance. So he's top notch, and the mystery behind why he wants a child and why he yields a dark saber is tantalizing to say the least. So I'm just excited to see more of this character, more of his story, and more of what his motives are. So for that, he comes in at number 7. For number 6, I'm going to head to organized crime and place Jabba the Hutt here. He's one of the first villains mentioned in Star Wars, and he's one of the first ones to be seen on screen if you watch the special editions. Although those inserts suck in episode 4, in episode 6 he's actually intimidating, weird, and he's just amazingly brought to life through like 10 people working with a giant puppet. It's crazy how commanding and just like lifelike a special effect can look, and it still holds up to this day along with all of his scenes. The Jabba the Hutt scenes are some of my favorite in Return of the Jedi. So Jabba the Hutt comes in at number 6. Alrighty, time for the top 5. Feel free to leave your top 5 down below if you'd like. I'd love to take a look. And with that said, coming in number 5 for me is Darth Maul. Yeah, I know he only has like a few lines of dialogue in episode 1, but the Duel of Fates action scene and the makeup work on him elevate him to like primo status. Also, his reveal in Solo was pretty exciting, plus all the work they put into him in the Clone Wars and Rebels shows I've heard are pretty amazing, although I haven't quite finished either of those shows yet personally. Just his overall presence, the way he's presented on screen, it's just, I think he's just an amazing villain. And I hope to see more of him, especially in live action, maybe in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show if that ever comes out, or if we ever get like another spin-off or something. I think he's just a character that has like untapped potential. And at number 4 is going to be the original bad boy from the first film. Nope, not Darth Vader. That's right, Grand Moff Tarkin. So, Peter Cushing's commanding screen presence is on display throughout the original Star Wars movie, and it really showcases why it's so important to have a grounded villain the audience can really hate. And sure, Vader is the coolest cat in the room, but Tarkin is in charge of him here. In the end, his hubris results in him blowing up, so he wasn't the most precautionary villain. And say what you want about the uncanny CGI Tarkin in Rogue One, it still looked pretty good. I went to see it with a friend who had never actually seen the original Star Wars movie, so he didn't really know what Peter Cushing looked like. I guess he'd probably never seen his Dracula movies either. So afterwards we asked them, hey, did you notice anything weird about that character? And they were just like, he seemed like a a mean man. It's like, so I guess you can't really tell unless you know what you're looking for. I think they may have used him a little too much in the movie. Maybe 1 or 2 scenes would have been good. But altogether, I think Grand Moff Tarkin is a great character and is a great introductory character to the Star Wars franchise. And now we're going to start rounding out the coveted top 3. So, actually it's going to be a sequel era villain. I think this is the only sequel era villain that shows up on this list, and that's going to be Kylo Ren. So, Kylo Ren is probably my favorite part of the 3 sequel films. He follows a more or less linear arc and then a redemption, and seeing him face on Palpatine and the Knights of Ren is pretty sweet, although a little short-lived. He's clearly conflicted throughout the whole series, but doesn't have to use much dialogue to convey it. Because, you know, Adam Driver is probably one of the best actors working today. His facial expressions really do all the hard work. The only part that didn't quite work with me was the kiss between him and Rey at the end. But you know, old Kylo is a bit of a dirty dog and he likes to get it while he can. But yeah, I think Kylo Ren is a great addition to the franchise. I kind of wish I did a little more with his character, but I like what we got. Okay, and at number 2 is going to be the villain for every Star Wars film apparently, even the ones that he's not in, Emperor Palpatine. That's right, his political dealings and his underhanded deals are probably the most fun parts to watch of the prequels, and his big reveal in Episode 3 is just such a sweet release of all his hard work. His next substantial performance in the franchise would be in Return of the Jedi, where he tries to lure Luke to the dark side, and then after dying, he's brought back for the sequels. Now, there's some complaints to say about the sequels using him, but I think Ian McDiarmid is just amazing to watch on screen and just adds such an amount of gravitas to every line. He completely owns Episode 3 with his hammy performance, and the same can be said for Episode 9. So, the villain that's always in the shadows, and the one that I just recently did a video on my channel, comes in 2nd place. Okay, so now we finally land at number 1, and could it be anybody else? That's right, of course it's Darth Jar Jar. He was always in the shadows. He made people believe that he was a bumbling fool and that he just wins a war by doing Three Stooges type antics and he just gets farted on by characters, but all the while he's in the shadows. He's pulling the strings. He's pulling the Emperor, and he still is going to be revealed as the main villain. I'm calling it right now in Episode 10. Like, it's amazing what George Lucas was able to start and what Kathleen Kennedy was able to roll with. I'm sure she's gonna do it for Episode 10, and maybe also Dark Rey should also be in here too. That 2-minute scene in Star Wars Episode 9 is just amazing with her sharp teeth. Like, there's no getting better than those 2 villains. Then they make the perfect duo, which equal number 1 here. So that's the total list, and I'll see you guys later. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Okay, I'm just joking. Of course, at number 1 is gonna be the OG Darth Vader. He was the menacing force throughout the original trilogy, and watching Anakin's downfall in the prequels is just downright tragic. His eventual redemption in 6 is amazingly done. I think that's why people like him so much. Like, he's a cold, calculated monster, but in 6 he kind of lets his guard down and allows Luke into his life, and that's what leads him to destroying the Sith. Plus the suit, the breathing, the voice work by James Earl Jones, it all adds up to a complete classic. So could it be any other way? Could it? I don't think so. And there it is. Darth Vader is the number 1 Star Wars villain of all time, in my opinion. So that is my ranking of the top 10 Star Wars villains. Do you agree or do you disagree? Feel free to leave your own ranking below. And if you haven't seen it, I have a new animation on my main channel going through Emperor Palpatine's surprising evolution. It's probably my most contentious video ever on that channel, but I find most of my Star Wars videos have been met with some resistance. We also partnered with In Search of Tomorrow, which is a documentary that's going to go through the best sci-fi films of the 1980s. I'm going to leave a link for it down below too, so if you use that link it will help to directly support me, and you'll be able to reserve your copy of In Search of Tomorrow for yourself. But do it before or by May 17th, I think that's this Sunday, as their Kickstarter ends at midnight that day. The link to both that and Emperor Palpatine's videos are down below. And since you watched this all the way to the end, if you like, you can follow my Instagram over there, and if you message me, tell me that you watched this speed art all the way to the end, and I'll send you a behind the scenes screenshot of what the next video is gonna be, and just a little behind the scenes thing to get you a little excited. This one's gonna take a while, so be patient. And until next time, have a good day, and keep on keeping on.